I'm Amber of AmbeRed Photography. Been here in Portland for probably close to 8 years now, and practicing photography since I was 16. So I've been doing it a long time. Being here in Portland has kind of opened up my eyes to a lot of different kind of photography, which I really like. And I think that working here as an artist has really opened my eyes to a lot of other artists. I lived in a small town community before, out in the middle of nowhere, so I didn't have the options that I have when I came here to Portland. I lived in Seattle for a couple of years and worked in live venues doing live event photography. I liked it, but like I said, it broke my camera gear too much. I think that's what kind of made me want to start doing studio work, and that's why I ended up doing studio stuff like this. My photography lately has taken a turn towards fantasy, and I have really started making a lot more of my props and my costuming and things like that. And like I said, it kind of pulls from inspiration from other artists here because I see so many other people, collaborating and making pieces for each other, and it really kind of inspired me to start doing that for my pieces. This is not just a photo anymore. It's a piece of art. I'm turning a person into a character, in front of the lens rather than just taking pictures to take pictures. So that's kind of been where I'm at these days. Yeah, I just did some of the pictures behind me are from the most recent calendar that I did, and this is the tail wasn't made by me. It was made by High Fly. She's a burlesque performer here in town, and seamstress. Obviously, I made the bra piece. This is another artist who airbrushes. I like to collaborate with other people too because it brings more artistry to it. It's not just me, it's other people getting involved, and when you can kind of help pave the way for other artists, it's a bigger feeling of accomplishment. And this calendar really, I took on a lot this time around as opposed to my 2013 calendar I put out. I put a lot more into it, a lot more heart into it, and I think it showed. I think that the images showed that there was, more love put into it. That it was all fantasy, fairies, demons, mermaids, all kind of had different stories behind them. Each girl was kind of picked out on the premise of what her character was. I kind of, in a way, like casting. Like when you're casting for a movie role, it's kind of the same with photographs. You cast based on what you think the character who's going to play the character the best. And it's the same way with photos. I look for people that are going to fit into that role that I have for them, and then, reach out. Yeah, calendar release party. Very, very nice of Frank to let me use his venue. My husband works there at the Kit Kat, and the venue itself is just beautiful, so I couldn't have asked for a better venue. 2013, I did it at Star Theater, also a very beautiful venue, really big and really hard to fill, for me anyways. I had a lot of people come and just a lot of support from people. Same this time around. I just really liked the toned down venue a little bit. Had a big party. It was a big turnout. I had a really good time. I hadn't gotten out in a little while, so it was kind of nice to see everybody's faces. And had a lot of performers. A lot of the girls that I have worked with, I think it's a misconception that I just work with strippers. I do. I work with a lot of strippers, but I work with people from all walks of life. It doesn't matter who you are or, what denomination. I'm always taking pictures. It doesn't matter who. The calendar kind of was the girls that performed there either tried to use stuff that they wore in the calendar and kind of created a theme around it, or came up with something different fantasy and performed something live on stage. But it's really cool. Kit Kat, if you've ever been there, is a very entertaining venue in the first place. It's not just a regular strip club. It's an entertainment venue. I mean, these girls really work on their costumes and their themes and stuff. So it's really cool to be a part of something like that, because you're showing your stuff to the public at the same time. You're also kind of showcasing what those people can do and how amazing they are, because they're artists too. And I don't know, I had a really good time. I think it was a hit. I haven't thrown a party yet that's flopped. Knock on some wood. So let's hope that carries through. I am actually planning on doing another calendar. I haven't told anybody this yet. And I have plans to work with another artist as well. This time I'm not going to put all of my work in it. I'd rather put somebody else's work in it and then work together on it. Teamwork for me has been a big deal. Like, if you can't work with other people, I feel like it really limits you on what you're going to be able to put out and what you're going to be able to do. So I always feel like the more the merrier. Got to tone it down a little bit. Can't have too many. But I do like to, like I said, incorporate other people into the work too.
Is there a theme for the calendar that...
I don't want to tell anybody yet. It's going to be a lot different than either of the last two I did. Both. This one was kind of a lighter fantasy theme, something that could go into any bookstore. The first one I did was a little more exotic, and maybe you couldn't just put it on any bookshelf, but they were both fantasy themed. This one isn't going to be so much fantasy themed. This one's going to be a lot grittier. Let's put it that way. I'm going to delve into some new things this year, I think. And as with most photography, you kind of want to change it up a little bit year to year. You're known for one thing, but you don't have to continue to do exactly that same thing. I always disagreed with my photography teachers in college when they told me, like, figure out what you want to do and just do that one thing. If you do 5 different things, you're never going to make it. I always disagreed with that. I thought, well, what if you get bored with one thing? And then it just becomes a job. It's no longer fun anymore. It's no longer making you happy anymore. You want to find something that's going to make you equally as happy as it is rewarding when you succeed in it. So, people are so multifaceted these days, and I think that where you wouldn't succeed in something, you have a stronger ability to do this, and I find myself doing, this is something I painted. It's kind of a exaggeration in progress. It's taken me like 6 years to paint it, but I do a lot of stuff like that. I do a lot of craft projects and things. I have a little Etsy account. It's another creative outlet for me. It may not necessarily be stuff that I photograph all the time, but stuff that I like to share with other people. And I make like these little man-eater plants. They look like little carnivorous plants, and people really like those. They're kind of a spin-off of the Rick Moranis Little Shop of Horrors movie. So I kind of started doing stuff like that just as a side project. Recent project. The most recent project that I just started doing, I took a month off in December, came back, and now I'm shooting something that deals with people's chakras. It's a more metaphysical, kind of like alter plane type thing, but also giving people like superpowers, like kind of using people's inner energy to reflect what could possibly be a superpower. With all the superheroes, supervillains these days, it was kind of my play on it. Anybody who knows me knows I love conspiracy theories. I write articles every once in a while that are conspiracy theory related, and I won't go into that because it's way deep. But I see that in a lot of other artists here, actually, and I've seen a lot of people's artwork that reflects that, and I enjoy it because it makes me feel so not alone. That Portland is weird really carries through, I think, and I like that. I like a lot of the people. I'm from Eastern Washington. The Tri-Cities, or the Dry Shitties is what I used to call it when I was younger. All my family lives there, kind of underneath Hanford's shadow. And ever since I was a kid, I just wanted to get out. I was like, I just want to get out of this town. I just want to get out. And I did. I got out. I went to Seattle for a couple of years, and then I came here, and I just loved it. I lived in Salem when I was a kid for 3 years, and didn't really like Salem as much. But Portland was a little bit more go-getter for me. People had a little bit more drive, and there was a lot to do. I love looking and hiking and taking pictures. It's just been a good experience. I'm raising my kids here. There's Kennewick, Richland, Pasco, and then there's some outlying, Benton City, Findlay. I lived in Findlay for a little while. And actually further out than the Tri-Cities, I grew up in a town called Otis, Washington. Not a lot of people know that town even exists. The Army Corps of Engineers are actually the beginning of this town. They built the dam out there. And the Harters, who have been there for as long as the town has been there, basically were people that my family knew. And we lived out there on a really remote, when I say out there, I mean out there, like a mile from any nearest neighbor, out in the middle of a wheat field. Those movies you see where people live out in the boonies, that's where I lived. The school was elementary, or was kindergarten, elementary, middle school, high school, all on the same grounds. The most people that graduated in a year was 8. So that's how small it was. But going from really tiny, to the Tri-Cities, where it was kind of a mid-sized town, I just knew there was so much more out there. This is before the internet was really a big deal, and cell phones. I didn't have cell phones and things like that. I look at technology now and I'm like, oh my God. But I knew that there was other stuff out there that I was going to want to do from a really small age. I was like, I just want to get out of these small town areas and get out there and do something bigger. And that's kind of what I've been doing. It's been a slow progression, but been getting there.
I'm tired of being left behind. I'm sure the kids are too. I'm tired of standing in this line while they getting scraps out of you. Well, I see the sunset behind the city lights, and I hear the voice of lovers giving advice. My mind's made up, I'm gonna get right out of town, leave a trail of gas and burn it down. Time to get it harder. Everything's changing and I'm just trying to keep my head above the water. Making those screams, I hear sweet music, maybe in my train, I might even do it. But if it's not me and it's somebody else, then I don't wanna be left behind. I don't wanna be left behind. Cutting loose